what a month August was. I met so many incredible people. The feedback has been through the roof, and I can't wait to keep doing months like August over and over again. Do let me know what your favorite episode was and why. If you do want to see more of any type of guest or subject area, I'm always down to hear your feedback, so definitely let me know. I have posted a schedule for September, so if you haven't checked that out, pop over to our Instagram at The Balance Theory. You can give that one a quick look and get excited for the month ahead. As always, if you do want weekly reminders, you can subscribe using the link in the bio. But enough of that. I want to start off this month talking about beginnings. Seems fitting, Monday, first week of the month. But specifically, I wanted to focus on beginnings paired with failure. And I guess just talk a little bit about my perspective on beginnings and how they are so closely linked with failure. Now, I'm currently reading a book. It's called Resilience by Navy SEAL Eric Greitens. This is it, if you're watching video. And I came across a really, really good paragraph which kind of spurred today's inspiration. So I'm going to share that with you. It reads, "To begin where you are, you have to be where you are." This sounds a little abstract. Maybe it is. I'm only trying to point out that to begin at the beginning, you have to be at the beginning. Too often we enter a new endeavor and imagine that we have more skills, more knowledge, more ability than we actually do. Focus on the fundamentals. We will fail if we expect to be good before we've even begun. So start at the beginning. Approach each day as if you have something new to learn. The task is not to begin in a noble place, but to end up in one. Now, the reason I wanted to share this quote, I think it speaks quite nicely to the fact of how hard we are on ourselves and the standard in which we hold ourselves before we even get going. So if you're sitting there, like maybe I was maybe 6 months ago before I started the podcast, you've been putting off something, you've been putting off getting started. You can come up with every excuse under the sun. You can push it back. You can tell yourself absolutely everything to just not get started. And I think often we feel like we need to be more equipped. We need to know more. We need to do more research. We need to do all of these things. But I think this quote nicely represents that to get started, you just have to get started. If you continue to think, oh, I need more of this, or I need to be mentored a little bit more, or something like that, you're never actually going to get started. And let's be honest, think of things you've accomplished in the past, back to when you did start that activity or task for the first time. You grow so much along the process, and it's impossible to know all those things without the experience. I always hear, like my mom especially, back in the day, she goes, oh, you just need the experience. You need to go through life. You need life experience. And now it makes perfect sense, because you do need to just experience in order to grow, and you're never going to know those things. You can't know those things without going through. These aren't textbook answers that you can get from reading blogs or talking to people. You have to physically go through the motions. So if you've been putting something off, my first tip would be, if your excuse is that you don't know enough or you feel as though you're not ready, just get started. And just to share with you all, this was sort of my experience with the podcast too. So some of you may have heard me speaking in other appearances on other podcasts, or maybe in episode 0. I actually had put off starting the podcast for a while because I felt like I didn't know enough about podcasting. I hadn't researched intros, outros, all these different things that were so foreign to me. But the more I pushed it off, the more I realized that I just needed to get started. And since June, when I started, I've evolved things, I've changed, I've taken on feedback, and that's where your success will come in. And this kind of leads me nicely into the whole concept of failures or failure. I think that another reason we don't get started is because we're scared, or we have this fear that we're going to fail. But I truly think that, yes, you get better at things as you go, but each time you try and master a new skill, or you try something new for the first time, that fear is going to creep up. It's like that positive adrenaline just kicking you, saying like, yep, we're trying something new. We've never done this before, but we're going to give it a shot. And so it's almost like, provided you continue to feel that fear, then you're living. That's something I wish all of you keep feeling, because it means that you're constantly pushing yourself and you're constantly throwing yourself in the deep end. So I guess to bring this full circle, if you are experiencing that fear, get excited about it. It means you are pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. If you're forever sitting there feeling complacent and sort of plodding along, then you're not really trying out new things. And that's not to say you need to be scared every single day of your life. I just mean it more if you're putting something off because you are scared and you want to get started, get excited about that. Change your perspective and your relationship with that fear and start seeing it as a positive kick from your internal saying, okay, we're trying something new. Let's get it going. I think another really, really important thing here is that you need to accept that you will, quote, fail. Now, I use this word lightly. And to be honest, my relationship with failure is not a negative one. I actually see failures as lessons. It's never something that stops me in my tracks unless you don't learn from the mistake, shall we call it, rather than failure, and you continue doing what you're doing and that mistake or that failure continues to go on. I mean, it's almost like failures are essential, because if they don't happen, then there's no experience or events in your life that will tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, you F that up, or you didn't do that as well, and so you might need to reassess what you're doing. If you don't have those episodes, there's no moments for you to pivot, reassess, and readjust. So they're almost essential to your growth and success. And it's honestly just the way you view these things. So just have one think about something that's happened this year, other than, like the whole year as it has been, but something specific. So whether it's in your work, in a relationship, in your health, like maybe some performance metric with your training or your diet or something, anything you can think of that you've tried and you would deem as a failure. Something you think, you look back and you go, I really didn't do that well, or I failed, or you just were disappointed in the outcome of that event. Just have a minute and just have a think about how you felt about in that moment and why. Why did it hit home so hard for you? Was it because you had set up those unrealistic expectations that you would know everything before you got started? Is it that you didn't properly assess your relationship with that mistake? Just have a think about the feelings and emotions that are tied to that, quote, failure. Now that you've got that ripe and raw in your mind, have a think about what that experience taught you. Whether it told you you did this wrong, or you could do this better, or there's another way of doing things, or you learned something. I'm sure that whatever happened, you're very unlikely to approach that event or task in the same way again. Or you may have grown from it. It may have taught you something. Whatever it is, you need to reframe your perspective and see what you can actually take from that situation. You have to be selfish in a way when it comes to failures, and really do see them as necessary lessons to get you over the hurdles of mistakes and to help you navigate through the treacherous waters of experience so that you can come out of it better and do that thing better moving forward. And just back to what I touched on before, the fact that if you're constantly experiencing this fear, then that means you're living and you're constantly pushing yourself. Another quote from the Resilience book that I really like is, "Those who build true excellence in their lives always fight at the edges of their ability. What distinguishes the exceptional from the unexceptional is a willingness to fail and an exceptional ability to learn from every failure." So again, that fear, you can reframe your relationship with it and remind yourself that that's you fighting at the edges of your ability. It's you currently pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. And yes, it's damn daunting when you're there, but you know that as soon as you surmount that and you get over it and you accomplish that thing, or you just get through it and give it a crack, that's a new skill you've acquired. It's a new thing you've tried out. And that's really exciting if you ask me. One thing that really stands out to me personally from that quote is a willingness to fail. It's almost like if you go into something, you have to be open to the fact that, yes, I don't know everything. And no, I'm not going to wait till I know everything. I'm just going to experience things as they come my way, and I'm going to learn from them. And I'm okay with the fact that I'm not perfect. I don't know everything leading into this, but I'm open and ready to change and learn and grow. I think the same goes. So this is not just for people who are waiting to try something new. Maybe they want to start a business. Maybe they want to read 5 books or set themselves new goals. Whatever it is that you're starting, I think the same runs true if you're already successful, you've already accomplished something, and you feel like it's been a while since you've pushed yourself. So this doesn't necessarily run true for people who, I guess, haven't, quote, made it to where they want to be. Even if you have accomplished a lot of milestones, if you found that you haven't really pushed yourself beyond your fringes of comfortableness lately, then this also means you've kind of become a little bit complacent too. So I guess my whole takeaway from today is that gut fear, that feeling of scaredness when you're trying something out for the first time, it's an opportunity for you to reframe your relationship with those emotions and think of them as opportunities, as, you know, windows into new experiences. And that means you are personally leveling up, in your own personality, in your skills, and in your life. Don't forget, failure teaches you something that you don't learn and that you can't learn from success. Because I feel like it really gives you an opportunity to appreciate and understand yourself in so many different ways. So that's essentially my little ramble, I guess, with failure. And truthfully, I've reshaped my whole relationship with it. I, hands down, was a full perfectionist, OCD, all of that. So for me to let go and accept failure as a friend, almost as a teacher, has been completely game-changing for me personally. And I truly think that failure is not only important, but it's essential to your growth. And it's really all about your relationship with it and the emotions that come with it. I guess the apprehensiveness or the scaredness that you feel towards it, all those are so critical in shaping your growth. So that's my thought for our Monday Muse this week. I would love to hear about your own opinions or perceptions on failures or getting started, or if you're someone who is kind of waiting to get started and you're really feeling stuck, please reach out to me. I am absolutely no expert or psychologist, but I have tried and dabbled in a few new things this year. And I think that the way I've reshaped my opinion and my relationship with these sorts of feelings and emotions has been really useful for me personally. And I would absolutely love to share that with anyone who feels as though they might need a chat. And also, I would love to hear what you're all working on or setting up for yourself or thinking of trying out. It's all exciting and part of your life's journey. So with that, enjoy, fail wonderfully, aim high, and have a great day. And that's a wrap for this week, Balancers. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you found this episode useful to some degree in either steering or determining your definition of balance today. As always, the biggest compliment for us is if you share this episode with someone who you feel might need it, or if you're on Spotify, you can click follow, or on Apple Podcasts, you can leave a rating or review. If you have any suggestions for up and coming podcasts, feel free to shoot us a DM or an email. Our Instagram is @TheBalanceTheory and our email is thebalancetheorypodcast@gmail.com. Otherwise, you've always got the option of subscribing to our mailing list. We only send you email reminders when the episodes drop, so you get them fresh out of the oven. No annoying spam, we promise. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and until next time, stay balanced.